Most decisions feel deliberate. We like to believe that we weigh options, consider evidence, and then choose carefully. That feeling is comforting. It suggests control. But much of our thinking doesn't work that way. A large part of it happens automatically, quietly, and without effort. Thinking, fast and slow, is about understanding when that happens. Daniel Kahneman describes the mind as operating in two modes. One is fast. It reacts automatically. It recognizes patterns. It answers questions before we realize a question was asked. The other is slow. It reasons. It calculates. It doubts. And it requires effort. We like to think the slow system is in charge. Most of the time it isn't. Fast thinking isn't a flaw. It evolved to help us survive. It allows us to move through the world without stopping to analyze every detail. The problem is not that we use fast thinking. The problem is that we trust it. Once the fast system produces an answer, the slow system often accepts it without question. This is why errors begin earlier than we notice. The first number we hear quietly shapes every estimate that follows, even when it shouldn't. This is anchoring. Judgment starts early and then adjusts around that first impression. Memory plays a role as well. What comes to mind easily feels more important, more common, more relevant. Vivid examples crowd out quiet facts, not because they are true, but because they are easy recall. The mind uses ease of recall as a shortcut for importance. Confidence adds another layer. When a story feels coherent, the mind becomes confident. That confidence feels like accuracy, but the two are only loosely related. We mistake fluency for truth. A smooth explanation feels reliable, even when the evidence is weak. This leads to a deeper illusion. Understanding often feels complete. We build simple stories to explain complex systems. Once the story makes sense, questioning stops. But if we were forced to explain the details, many of those explanations would collapse. Clarity is often an illusion. At this point, a natural question arises. If we know all this, can we avoid these errors? Not entirely. Knowing about biases doesn't remove them. The mind continues to rely on shortcuts, even after we notice them. Awareness helps, but it doesn't give control. This is where the book is often misunderstood. It is not a guide to perfect thinking. It does not promise better intuition. And it does not suggest we should think slowly all the time. That would be exhausting and impossible. The real question is not how to eliminate fast thinking. The question is when slowing down matters. High-stakes decisions, irreversible choices, unfamiliar situations. These are moments where effort is worth it. Thinking. Fast and slow is ultimately about humility, about recognizing the limits of confidence, the limits of understanding, and the limits of control. Not to make us anxious, but to help us choose where attention is worth spending.